Welcome to Tessera, a podcast by Tesseros. Here, we're learning in the workshop of everyday life. Small adjustments, simplified workflows, creative ideas explored instead of ignored. Each episode, I share real stories from home and work as I experiment with technology and AI, not to chase perfection, but to build systems that support what actually matter. Because when our systems support us, we create space for the things that shape us. I'm glad you're here to build this mosaic. Let's place the next piece. Welcome back. In our house right now, we have a mantra: attitude and effort. One of my kids is learning to play games and keep playing even when he's losing or has lost. The other is being asked to show up for gym and track and try, not win, not be the best at it, just try. And the rule in our house is that if we're going to ask our kids to do something, it has to apply to us too. There should be a real, honest, specific reason if the rules are different for the adults. Things like coffee or alcohol or driving, things that have a clear reason. But pushing outside of your comfort zone, that one applies to everybody. So if I'm asking them to be uncomfortable and grow through it, I have to be doing that too. And I want to be upfront about that because this podcast is part of how I'm doing it. Tesseros is part of how I'm doing it. The tools I'm learning and using, including AI, are part of how I'm doing it. And I certainly haven't figured everything out, but I'm in it. Attitude and effort. Here's my experience with discomfort. Every time I've been the most uncomfortable is when I've also grown the most. In high school, a friend and I were genuinely terrified to talk to people. Like, not shy or awkward, literally terrified. And we got to the point where we realized it was actively holding us back from the life that we wanted. So we made a deal. Every day, we had to look up from the sidewalk and say hello to at least one stranger. And at the end of the week, we checked in with each other. Did you do it? At the beginning, it was nauseating. I would steel myself before I do it, and then I'd say hi, and then sometimes the person would say hi back, and sometimes they didn't. But the world kept turning, and I'd do it again the next day. And it got a little easier each time. It's not that the situation changed, but I changed. I got more repetition in, more practice. And what shifted wasn't that I stopped feeling nervous. It's that this nervous feeling stopped meaning anything. It stopped being information I had to act on. And once you learn to move forward, you stop being run by that fear. The same pattern followed me into my career. I was working with a goaltending organization early on, and I needed to call vendors in other cities to get quotes for ice time and catering and camp logistics. Cold calls to strangers. And I was so scared. And the partner that I was working with asked me what I was afraid of. And I said, what if they're mean? What if they won't talk to me? And he said, then we don't use them and they don't get our business. One of those moments where the logic is so simple, it's almost embarrassing. The worst case is we don't work with them. That's it. And later, at the same organization, I needed to go talk to the city of Calgary about arena marketing. And I had never done anything like it. I didn't know what I was asking. I was scared, and I said so. And he looked at me and said, do you seriously think they're going to be mean enough that you're in danger? No. Okay, well, if it gets bad enough that your feelings are genuinely at risk, I'll step in, but I think you can do this. And so I went. And I sat down across from a woman who worked at the arena, and I said, I don't know exactly what's involved, but here's what we're trying to do. Can you help? And she was nice. She asked me questions. She told me what information she needed and what the next steps were. She walked me right through it. And I came back, and it wasn't as bad as I was afraid it would be. It almost never is. And When you lead with honesty about what you don't know, most people lean in. They want to help. And the thing that you're protecting yourself from usually doesn't really exist. I've carried that forward in ways I didn't expect. When I started leaning into AI over the last couple of years, I had this same feeling of where do I even start? What do I do? What if everybody else is further ahead? Nowadays, I'm a little worried we're maybe moving too fast, but I thought about what is the worst that can happen? I learn a tool that doesn't work and I try something else. That's it. I start. There's a gardening process called hardening. When you've grown seedlings inside and you want to move them outside, you don't just put them out and leave them. You bring them out for an hour and then you bring them back in. Then the next day, a couple of hours. Then half a day until you're ready to stay outside on your own. And that's how we build our own resilience. You find safe situations where you can put yourself under a little pressure. If it's your feelings on the line and not your physical safety, you'll be fine. You go out for an hour and you come back. You go a little longer next time. Each repetition makes you more capable of handling the next one. The key is that you have to actually go outside. You can't harden a plant by thinking really hard about the wind. I want to make this tangible because one of the reasons I started this podcast was to make technology accessible. I wanted it to be not just conceptual, but practical, actual things that might be relevant and you could try. One of the things I've been putting my attitude and effort in with AI is the day to day items. It's not always working, but it's me practicing and trying things. And as a recent example, I needed to set up a booking page in Zoho, which is where I manage my email and a portion of my work calendar. And I wanted to be able to schedule coffee chats without going back and forth with people over times. The back and forth is a friction that makes me not want to reach out at all. And I knew the outcome I wanted, I just didn't know the exact steps to get there. So I asked Claude, I described what I was trying to do, the tools that I have available, and I asked it to walk me through the setup. And we worked through it one step at a time. And now I have a link that I can send to someone and say, does anything in this window work for you? It's a small thing, but it turned something that I was avoiding into something that I finished. And then I could start using it. Where this gets really exciting for me, and it's a core of what Tesseros is built on, is when you learn and practice skills that make you better at work and at home, you get a kind of compounding that you don't get any other way. I think of skills like a web. Every strand you add connects to the others, and every connection makes the whole structure stronger. Not every skill is relevant at every moment, but if you're at the center of that web and you know what you have available and when to pull on it, that awareness makes a huge difference. And when something breaks or you want to grow into a new area entirely, you don't start from zero. You take the threads you already have and you extend from there. You are one person. The skills you build at home are available at work. And the problem solving you do at work sharpens how you think at home. You're not splitting your effort between two lives because you're not living two separate lives. That's what I mean when I say Tesseros is built on harmony, not balance. Balance implies two separate things that you're trying to keep equal. Harmony means they're moving together. When you invest in one, you're investing in both. I also used AI to research how I would replace an original Gen Air oven element versus do I replace a whole stove? How do I make an informed decision about what's involved here? And I used it to work through the file export process for the perspective card flip game that we just published. I needed to figure out what kind of files I could edit because just iterating through AI generations was getting me further away from what I wanted. So I learned about the file export types I had and what other software could import those file types. I ended up exporting an SVG from Claude, importing it to Figma, and learning how to make tweaks I needed to finalize the image in the way that I was looking for. I asked, I learned, and I finished it. The last one matters to me personally because finishing is one of my growth edges. Once something is out in the world, people can see it. That's uncomfortable. And you also lose the possibility of what it could be next. But you don't actually. And that's the hardening. You put it outside for an hour and you see what happens. Staying current with technology isn't about anxiety. It shouldn't be. It's not about keeping up because you're afraid of falling behind. It is about keeping your head up and paying attention. I thought I was going back to school for computer programming once the kids were in full time school. And then AI shifted fast enough that the reason I wanted that degree became almost irrelevant. So I pivoted. I started learning what was available, where I was, and practicing with what was already in my life: attitude and effort. Same as always. You already know the thing you've been avoiding. There is something on your list, in your business, in your life that you keep circling back to and not starting or not finishing. Maybe it's a tool you keep meaning to learn. Maybe it's a conversation you keep putting off. Maybe it's the thing you've been calling not ready yet for longer than you want to admit. And underneath it, there's a story. They'll judge it. It won't be good enough. What if it doesn't work? What if they're mean? And those feelings are valid, but they are not a stop sign. Attitude is a choice, not a mood. You can wake up grouchy and still decide what you're going to do with it. You might decide you are going to have a bad day because you want to. And that's fine. But you can also decide that your hard day doesn't get to run the show and affect other people. Effort is the same. Life is hard. That doesn't mean stop. It means that the people who keep going get somewhere. The people who stop don't. The woman at the City of Calgary didn't know I was terrified walking in, but she saw someone who showed up and asked for help. You show up. You say, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but here's what I'm trying to do. Can you help? And most of the time, the answer is yes. The joy of getting good at something, the feeling of realizing you're competent at something you weren't before. You don't get there without both the attitude to start and the effort to continue. So, one uncomfortable repetition today. Look up from the sidewalk and say hello. Open the tool you've been avoiding and ask it a question. Take the thing off the back burner and decide today is the day you stop thinking about it and start doing it. That's how it starts, one rep at a time. Thanks for listening to Tessera. If this episode sparked an idea or helped you forge a new path, we'd love to hear it. Tessera is built by community. Send us your questions, feedback, or stories about how you're using AI and other technologies to simplify your life. Email us at hello@tesseros.com or leave a review on the app where you're listening right now. And if you know someone who's looking to craft their life a little bit differently, please share this episode with them. You can find all episodes, show notes, and extras at tesseros.com/Tessera and subscribe through your preferred podcast app. Until next time, keep placing the pieces that matter.